Central bank digital currencies, or CBDCs, are they the future to financial security and crypto adoption, or are they the beginning of a dark road to a dystopian nightmare? I know this sounds dramatic, but you'll understand why some people are super concerned after today's video. Welcome back to the VirtualBacon channel. My name is Dennis. I'm a crypto angel investor, and I have invested in over 100 startups in the past 5 years. On this channel, I share my views on market trends and investment strategies to build wealth in crypto. I feel like CBDCs started as some conspiracy years ago, but now they are very real. Seemingly all governments want them today, but most citizens still do not. And outside of the early adopters in crypto, the average citizen haven't even heard of CBDCs, but the people who have are very concerned. So is this panic overblown or is it valid? First, let's understand what are CBDCs and how they are different from regular fiat currencies or cash. CBDCs stand for central bank digital currencies. They are a digital version of a country's official currency. They are issued and controlled by the central bank and are treated the exact same way as paper money or bank balances. They are considered legal tender in the country. This means that a CBDC is completely unique to a single country as it is equivalent to the country's official currency. Just like how a country can have only one main currency, it can also have just one main CBDC. Also, CBDCs and fiat currencies are backed by the exact same thing, which is the trust in the government. Just like how the central bank can print new paper money, they can also issue new CBDCs as they please. The main difference is that CBDCs exist digitally. They are created digitally, used digitally, and destroyed digitally. But in today's day and age of online payments, we're all used to it. Now, this looks and feels very similar to the traditional banking apps. So how are they actually different? From a user perspective, CBDCs and online payment apps are quite similar. Here's the Chinese digital yuan app, which is their official CBDC. You see, it looks and feels exactly like another app on your phone. It will have real digital money in the account, which is directly tied to your identity, and you see the representation of the paper money, which gives it a sense of authority. The app also supports QR code payments and transfers just like a fintech app. The main difference between a CBDC and the traditional banking system lies in who controls this money. On the left side here, we have the current system, which consists of central banks, real money, commercial banks, banks' services and promises, and then the end user. In this system, even though your bank balances can be stored digitally, the bank is still just an intermediary that holds your money. And this money is first created physically at the central bank before it is deposited into these commercial banks. Now, in a future CBDC system, however, all of the money is directly created digitally using this CBDC system. This means you, the client, the commercial bank, and all of the service providers are connected to this shared ledger. In this system, every CBDC transaction is tracked by an interconnected payments network. And this network is completely controlled by the central bank and the Federal Reserve and the government. So when did this CBDC even become a thing? Well, it first gained traction back in 2020 in response to Facebook's Libra currency. Libra was a public blockchain made by Facebook that was intended to serve as a digital dollar in the US. Many large payment providers in the US were all on board to use this network, including PayPal, eBay, MasterCard, Stripe, and Visa. But the project was shut down by regulators in 2020, and shortly after, the US announced the FedNow project, which was highly similar to the Libra project, but only controlled by the Federal Reserve. This was not surprising, as the government would not allow a CBDC network to be privatized. Then from 2020 to 2021, the world went into lockdown and the global reset officially kicked off with the digitization of finance at the center stage. The managing director of the IMF have quoted this new reset in the financial system as just as significant as the Bretton Woods Agreement. The introduction of CBDCs will be one of the biggest changes in money since the world abandoned the gold standard. We'll talk a little bit more about the Great Reset in just a bit. Going back to the CBDC network, you might notice that this kind of interconnected network design highly resembles the decentralized blockchain concept. This is the main reason why CBDCs are often compared to cryptocurrencies. So let's look at the similarities and differences between the two. In a CBDC-based system, the currency is centralized, it's pegged to the fiat price, it's equivalent to the national currency, it's tracked by the government, and it doesn't reveal any of the inner workings. In a crypto system, however, the characteristics are completely opposite. It's supposed to be decentralized, it can be highly volatile, but it is globally accessible and can preserve privacy, all while at the same time making transactions transparent. So the only two similarities between a CBDC and crypto is that they both use an interconnected payment network, they are both fully digital, and they are both cheap and fast to use. Unlike a decentralized blockchain transaction where multiple parties come together to form a consensus, a CBDC transaction can never be disputed. CBDC networks are by design controlled by the government and the central bank. Even though all citizens and the banks can participate, they are at the complete whim of the central entity who oversees every transaction. Considering the complete opposite goals of CBDCs and cryptocurrencies, I think it's easy to see that no country will adopt any public cryptocurrency as their official CBDC. This is a common misconception people believe. Cryptos are too open, too volatile, and hard to control for the governments to use as CBDCs. Although the crypto coins will not be used as CBDCs, there are certain blockchain technologies that can be used to issue CBDCs. For example, the XRP crypto itself will not be used as any country's official CBDC. However, the Ripple and XRP Ledger network are being used in some early pilots to issue CBDCs. We have Colombia and the nation of Palau that have both announced their CBDC initiatives using Ripple's network. Now, does this mean every CBDC in the world will be issued on a public blockchain network? No, this is also wrong. The powerful countries and alliances in the world like the US, China, and EU will all choose to build their own payment networks. However, there is a case to be made that smaller countries who do not have the technical capabilities to build such a payments infrastructure can choose to adopt an existing solution like the XRP network, the Stellar network, and a few other competitors. Every CBDC needs one of these payment networks to function, and that's the area that crypto could serve a real purpose. The US also just launched its own payments network called FedNow, which will be later used for CBDCs. Even though this network only serves to facilitate bank settlements today, I have no doubt that CBDCs will happen here because all of the network designs are paving the way for this. If you want to learn more about FedNow and how it competes with crypto payment networks, you can check out my full breakdown video linked in the description. Next, let's talk about CBDCs versus stablecoins, as the two are often confused as well. CBDCs and stablecoins are both fully digital currencies that are cheap and fast to use and settle with, and their prices are both pegged to the national currencies. However, the way they are issued and controlled are night and day different. CBDCs are issued by the government and only one CBDC can exist in each nation. Stablecoins, however, can be issued by private companies and many of them can coexist in the same nation. CBDCs are also only backed by trust, while stablecoins are often backed by real assets that you can redeem. This means you have a guaranteed fallback in case the stablecoin's price drops, as you can redeem for the underlying assets at all time. However, stablecoins also present certain trust issues since these backings are controlled by private entities, and in the unregulated world of crypto, these reserve assets can be misused. Most stablecoins today are still ultimately cryptocurrencies. They are difficult to control and thus present a major conflict to the adoption of CBDCs. This is why we see the governments actively trying to push CBDCs and more control the stablecoins to push out the crypto-native players. The regulators have gone after most stablecoin issuers such as USDT and BUSD, questioning their foreign entities and cash reserves. They are also putting strict rules in place for who can issue a stablecoin. A new bill was just passed in the US House in July, which included a full regulatory framework for stablecoin issuers. This puts USDC as the only stablecoin in the market right now that is fully compliant with US law. I have a full video breaking down these historic crypto bills. Check it out with the link in the description. Now, even though USDC is already fully regulated by the US government, it's still a much more open currency than any CBDC. All USDC supply and backing can be tracked, and every transaction is decentralized and cannot be stopped by the government. And this is why we're seeing potential Trojan horses like the PayPal USD stablecoin that just came to market this August. Do not be fooled, this is no longer a full-fledged cryptocurrency, but rather something in between. Even though the PayPal USD is issued on Ethereum, it still has all the same characteristics of a centralized digital dollar. You can see all of this on the PayPal USD smart contracts. Assets can be frozen and wiped by the admin, transactions can be reversed, new supply can be freely minted, and the whole thing is tied to your PayPal account, which requires KYC. I think the ultimate goal is for many large financial institutions to have their own stablecoins all connected to a CBDC network. And at its core, there is a central bank digital currency that is fully controlled by the government and handles all settlements. The future of crypto-native stablecoins is looking uncertain for the next few years. I'll be making a full video on the stablecoin wars in the next couple weeks. Subscribe to the channel to not miss it. Let's also cover the few benefits of CBDCs. Honestly though, I think there are only two. Number one, it facilitates cheap payments with instant settlement across banks, which is also good for consumers. And number two, it simplifies financial benefit distributions like new stimulus checks. However, are these few benefits worth it for the huge pushback against CBDCs? Let's take a look. Who actually benefits the most from CBDCs? It's obviously the government. It will allow them to track our every purchase and every move. You can no longer escape the system by using physical cash. Think about taxes, bail-ins to save the large banks, or other international sanctions. These will all be automatically carried out once we are on a CBDC network. You cannot dispute anything, and instead the money can just be freely withdrawn from your wallet because it's directly connected to the central bank. If you go against the government, your funds will be instantly frozen. And because every bank and financial institution will be connected to the CBDC, you will be completely cut off from the system. And you can't even use cash anymore, as every store will be fully digital using the CBDC. If you think this won't happen to your country, you are wrong. Just last year, Canada had the convoy protest against vaccine mandates. Even though Canada has long been one of the most democratic countries, the protest was deemed harmful by the government, and therefore you couldn't support it. This led to everyday people who only donated as little as $50 to the campaign protesters having their bank accounts frozen. This is the reality we have to face. If you choose to go fully digital and accept the few benefits that the central bank gives us, you will be in the system. Now, you might ask, why are world leaders all of a sudden pushing this idea of CBDCs? How did everyone turn evil all of a sudden? Well, that stems from the bigger initiative of the Great Reset, which is a global movement led by the World Economic Forum. The WEF is a global lobbying entity that consists of over 1,000 world leaders, including politicians, business moguls, and other powerful entities. The founder of the WEF, Klaus Schwab, has directly called the pandemic a rare but narrow window of opportunity to reimagine and reset our world. Their goal is to push towards a hyper-globalized society that is ran by multinational corporations and world governments. Without getting too deep down the rabbit hole, the WEF has discussed policies like redefining social contracts, the global economy, and the fourth industrial revolution. In order to consolidate financial power to the leaders of the new world, a hyper-connected and digitized form of money is their most powerful tool. This is the real reason why CBDCs were created and heavily pushed across the globe in the past 3 years. So how do you protect yourself and opt out? The answer is obviously crypto. Bitcoin, Ethereum, and decentralized money is the only answer to the inevitability of CBDCs. Our financial habits will be radically different in 2 to 3 years after CBDCs are fully rolled out across the globe. The era of digital economy is here, whether you like it or not, and we cannot expect to rely on physical cash or gold for much longer. If you ever had a need for using cash anonymously, going off-grid and holding your wealth, or moving countries with your wealth, or just simply want a backup plan in case something goes wrong, you need to learn how to use cryptocurrencies and have a wallet set up. Once every corner of the world starts adopting digital payments, all of our money will be managed by phones. But maybe and just maybe, besides the FedNow and the digital yuan CBDC apps, you can also have a Bitcoin or Ethereum wallet on the side to opt out of the system. Okay, that wraps up today's video. If you have any questions about CBDCs, come to our YouTube live stream every Monday where I will host a live Q&A. Subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications to not miss it. And you should follow me on Twitter at VirtualBacon0x. I drop much more unfiltered crypto alpha on there that is too quick for these in-depth videos. Lastly, use the link below to join our Telegram alerts channel for daily market summary and trade signals around crypto events. Thanks for watching and see you guys in the next video.